I think it's really important to check in with ourselves. Something is, how often are you apologizing to your kids when you fuck up in discipline? It happens. We all do it. Where we over discipline, or maybe we said something that wasn't appropriate. We do it in our jobs. We do it in our personal lives. We make mistakes. How well are you doing at owning those with that extreme accountability, without blaming somebody else, without saying, well, yeah, I did this, but it was because blah, blah, blah. If it's just like, you know what? Yeah, I did that and that wasn't helpful. That's a much better apology. Again, we get into Harriet Lerner's book, Why Won't You Apologize?
Yeah,
which is that ability to accept accountability for your part in the wrongdoing without shifting the blame or bringing up somebody else's shortcomings in the same situation. It's an issue I see a lot in my couples counseling where I get in the beginning of our time together, I'll have the couples be like, no, but that's not how it goes. If she hadn't, or if he hadn't. And I'm like, whoa, bring that down. That's not your job to bring that up. That's their job. You've got to own up. If you were 5% in the wrong, you are going to own that 5%. When you're apologizing, that's not the time to bring up all the other things that led to you making a shit decision. You just own it.
Well, and the biggest thing that I see that is important from this comment that he makes that I agree with completely is that you don't lose respect by owning your mistakes.
Right. You build connectivity.
Get respect by owning your mistakes. And that is really where I am probably struggling the most. I think I mentioned this at the beginning, that is really where I'm struggling the most with the church. Is that I have lost respect for the leadership because they will not own mistakes. They will not recognize and talk about the fact that things have been done wrong and that they have hurt people. And that's really the big thing for me. And so the takeaway from that one that I want our listeners to remember is that you earn and gain and build respect by recognizing, owning, and learning from your mistakes.
Not repeating them.
Right. And then not repeating them. One of the things that I appreciated from my dad is that he would usually apologize to us after something had gone wrong.
I think it's important for you to say he would usually apologize to me. Because do you know that for a fact for your siblings?
No, I don't know that. He would apologize to me after something had gone wrong. And I appreciated that. It didn't usually lead to a change of behavior, so it wasn't a great apology, but it was an attempt on his part, and I think it was the best that he knew how to do. So I still, even today, appreciate the fact that he was willing to do that. It's one of the things that I've worked hard on. If I'm going to be self-reflective, I try hard to apologize and own the mistakes that I make, and I feel like I do a pretty good job of that most of the time.
I agree with you 100%, and I have more authority to say you do a good job at owning your mistakes probably than you do.
Absolutely.
You generally are the apologizing to me or the kids, and I think you do a very good job.
Well, and I've made a point of apologizing even if it wasn't all my fault, or even sometimes if it wasn't my fault at all, I will apologize because it puts me at a humble plane where I can then talk out the issue and learn from it so that we can do better.
Well, and I'm going to challenge that because you say when it wasn't my fault at all. That is incredibly rare.
Sure.
You know, when in the Gottman stuff, we talk about even if it was 99% the other and 1% you.
Sure.
If you're having a hard time figuring out where you have accountability in whatever the situation is, that's a red flag that you're having a hard time recognizing your own shortcomings and whatnot. It is incredibly rare for somebody else to not be.
I think I just didn't know how to say that. I agree with what you're saying.
Well, because I'm always right. Go ahead.
Moving
Mason.
on.
Yeah, what's this last one?
So the last one is really short. And it is something that I believe to the depth of my soul.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I'm
he says
myself.
the goal of all leaders, and I don't typically like the word all, but he says the goal of all leaders should be to work themselves out of a job.
I like that.
And I absolutely love this because it demonstrates that you want everyone beneath you to be as successful as you.
Well, you're also training your replacements. Like if I take this and I say the goal of a good teacher is to train your replacement.
Yes.
Yeah. But it equalizes it. It equalizes the field of, maybe I'm in this role of leadership. I built this company on my back, so on and so forth. But I'm training you to be able to be just as successful as me, and will support you if you decide to go out on your own because of that training. That's a really healthy thing. Like that's actually one of the things that, we talk about, what's one way to tell if an organization has these cult-like characteristics or is a cult or isn't a cult. And one of them is the ability of people to leave the organization and then leave and feel like they are grounded and they're doing okay. And I would say that for people who leave Mormonism, their whole world has to come crashing down usually before they're able to find their feet and thrive again. If there was good leadership, it would be like, hey, I respect that this isn't working for you. How can we help you exit and find something better? Yes. And as I know one of the greatest joys that I have in my role here is helping other clinicians open private practice. Now, I don't have to worry too much about competition in my field at this time. That my opinions might change if I had a lot of competition, but I just don't. Because there's not enough mental health professionals to go around. And I'm a firm believer that if I'm doing a good job, word of mouth referrals will keep me in business. And so far that has been my experience, is that I end up having to, I got a wait list for people to come see me. And that's not because I'm, oh, you're amazing, let me, speak up my ego. But my point being is because I'm overwhelmed by how many people need my time, if I can help other clinicians be successful at building their businesses and their practices, I'm also building networks that keep healthy community ties. So that way, if I get a client where there's a conflict of interest or there's a personality clash or whatever, I've got this network of people where I can make sure that the population I serve is served best. And so one of my greatest honors in this field is helping other clinicians become successful, is training them. Like I love being that supervisor and training these, people that are just exiting graduate school, training them to take theory into practice. It's wonderful. And I know, Mason, you really like it too. You really like taking the interns at work and hip checking and training them and helping them become the best anesthesia providers that they can be, and being a stepping stool on somebody's journey. And I think that's really where effective leadership comes in, is, are you a stepping stool that is building people up, or are you weighing people down? For me, with the LDS Church, I feel like there's so many rules and check boxes and, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Like there's all these moving targets, and then the target shifts and they change, and there's no accountability. When I was a TBM, I didn't feel like my leadership outside of my ward and stake was ever reachable. And as I've left, I'm like, oh yeah, the leadership is so disconnected from its membership that I don't feel like they're giving that stepping stool to help improve your life. Rather, they're giving you rules so they can control your life. Yeah. So for our listener, I would say, what is your intent? Is your intent to lift people up and honor them when they go a different way than you thought? Or is it to control their decisions and micromanage what they're doing and make them going away different than what you think difficult and complicated? That's kind of where I'm
Yeah, well, and if you take this statement, the goal of all leaders should be to work themselves out of a job, and you go back to all the things that we just talked about, ego isn't a problem if you want everybody to be on your level. Owning mistakes isn't a problem because everyone makes them, and everyone is going to recognize that they need to own their mistakes because you're all on the same level. Empathy and understanding aren't a problem because everybody's trying to understand how to do the same job. They're trying to understand what things you're struggling with, what things you're not struggling with. They're all trying to understand those things. You don't have to worry about whether your subordinates are capable of managing whatever it is their job is to manage, because you're training all of them to be able to do that job. You don't have to, there's not this competition of what's going on, because you are being the best leader you can be and training everyone to do the same thing. And also, if me as a captain, I recognize that there's a sergeant underneath me that has some terrific leadership styles, I'm going to learn from him too. There's no ego, because I want to be the best I can be. And if that sergeant or that private or that colonel has an idea or some experience that demonstrates I can do it differently, I want to do it differently.
Chicken tacos should only be trusted to chicken professionals.
That's where we come in. Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One comes with pico de gallo and creamy chipotle ranch. And the other comes with bacon, lettuce, tomato, and avocado ranch. Chicken experts since 1990. Chicken taco experts since now. Order yours today in the Zax Rewards app. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.